So welcome back to another rebuild here on NBA 2K25 Next Gen. In today's video, Julius Randle and Donte DiVincenzo to the Minnesota Timberwolves. Yesterday we did the New York Knicks side of this trade, of course, them acquiring karl-anthony Towns in an absolutely shocking blockbuster that I don't think many people saw coming whatsoever. Of course, we all remember last season, Minnesota Timberwolves had a fantastic year, ended up making the Western Conference Finals, did lose to the Dallas Mavericks in 5 games, but it really felt like an emerging season for Minnesota, and I think many people expected them to just run it back. So I had not seen anything about any potential karl-anthony Towns trade rumors over the summer, but apparently they were a thing. And now Julius Randle and Donte DiVincenzo coming in here to Minnesota. I'm not going to lie to you, I like this fit quite a bit. And finally, as always, before we do get into this rebuild, make sure to let me know any other rebuild ideas you guys want to see down below in the comment section. I'm fully aware I had already done a New York Knicks rebuild and a Minnesota Timberwolves rebuild, but we don't control the basketball gods and the trades they make. So excited for this one today, man. Minnesota last year, as we mentioned, Western Conference Finals. We know how much 2K loves them. They are certainly very close to that championship team. So our goal today is to get them to the finish line. Let's get into it. Let's go ahead and have a quick conversation about this new look Minnesota Timberwolves squad. Now, obviously, karl-anthony Towns was a very important player for this franchise and for this team ever since he was drafted #1 overall back in 2015. He was kind of the beginning of a new era here in Minnesota, and obviously Anthony Edwards is the face of this team now. But, you know, for me, I didn't really expect a Cat trade, right? I fully understand that this decision that was made was really probably out of a financial perspective. It probably wasn't purely a talent-motivated trade, but I don't know. I would have liked to have seen one more season with Cat and Ant and obviously Gobert kind of at the helm together, but Minnesota, New York decided that was not going to be the case today, and now we sit here with a little bit of a new look Minnesota team. So let's start out here at the point guard spot. Mike Conley, obviously 37 years old, has been in the NBA for a long time. Would like to see him get a ring at some point in time. I am hoping he does not retire after year 1 here today. He's 37 though. He's an 81 overall, but he is a good enough point guard option for year 1. We all remember the draft night trade Minnesota made with the San Antonio Spurs, landed them the number 8 overall pick, and obviously got Rob Dillingham. So he's probably the future of the point guard spot here in Minnesota. As of now, he's going to be coming off the bench and hopefully developing quite nicely. And I've said it before, I'm not the only person who said this. When you're drafting Kentucky guards, it almost feels like a 90% hit rate. It feels like all of them end up being pretty impactful NBA players. So I don't know if Rob Dillingham's going to be a superstar in this league. He very well may be. I'm not going to be sure. But it feels like he's at minimum going to be a very serviceable role player. And again, it feels like the floor for him. We head to the shooting guard spot. Certainly one of the faces of basketball at this point in time. Anthony Edwards has been incredible pretty much ever since he got drafted. But last season especially was kind of a little bit of a coming out party. He was so good, and he was especially good in the playoffs. We obviously saw him and the Timberwolves take down the defending champion Denver Nuggets in a 7-game series, and one of the more entertaining series, because honestly it was a lot of not really, I don't want to say close competitive games, but it just felt like that series had so much hatred and so many boiling points. But Anthony Edwards is incredible. He's going to be a superstar in this league for a very long time. Now, Donte DiVincenzo, one of the main pieces they got back from the New York Knicks. I thought Donte was going to be, a very nice player for New York for a long time. Felt like him and the rest of the Nova boys were going to kind of do their thing, have some great chemistry, and of course that was not the case. So, there's been some rumblings that maybe Donte wasn't happy that he's going to be coming off the bench. Not to say he's not coming off the bench here in Minnesota now, but probably have a little bit of a bigger role. I don't know. We'll figure it out what we want to do with him here today, because I do think Donte's a good player. Nickeil Alexander-Walker. Now, he was probably going to be my backup shooting guard, but now with the addition of Donte, there's a possibility maybe we move him to the backup small forward spot. Of course, Terrence Shannon Jr. here as well, also drafted him. I actually love the Timberwolves draft. It was really good, but obviously a little bit of an older rookie at 24 years old. 6'6", coming out of Illinois. He's a lefty, right? I don't know if you can tell. I think he's a lefty. We head to the small forward spot. Jaden McDaniels is certainly making quite a bit of money, and it is going to be a contract that I'm going to keep, certainly a nice eye on. He is not necessarily known for his, inept offensive ability. He's obviously a tremendous defensive player, and he certainly can provide something offensively, but, he's never going to be a guy that's going to give you 20 points a night. All right, the backup small forward spot is not great right now. With Joe Ingles, PJ Dozier, and Josh Minott, there are some options here. Some super young like Minott, some super old like Joe Ingles. If I'm being honest with you, I think Nickeil Alexander-Walker will probably play that backup 3, though. And then man of the hour, Julius Randle, of course, ended up getting dealt from the New York Knicks, was injured last season, missed a whole big chunk of time, and I don't know. I'm not really sure what to expect here with Julius Randle today, because part of me says, entering what could be a final season here in Minnesota, and that's kind of crazy to say because he just got traded, but it's a contract year for Randle. I think he's going to come out, and I think he's going to absolutely hoop. I think he's going to play some of the best basketball of his career. I think he is a really good fit with this team, and I'm excited to see it. But the other part of me says, well, I would still definitely take Karl-Anthony Towns over him. So not a shot at Randle, just a reality. Leonard Miller, my one backup power forward, we will certainly keep an eye on there. And then Rudy Gobert, obviously a multiple-time defensive player of the year. You know, a lot of jokes about Rudy Gobert, but he is still a really, really good center. Naz Reid and then Luka Garcia as well. So that is the team as of now. Of course, this was a group that was in the West Finals last year. I think there's maybe one or two moves I want to make before we kick off year one. Interesting first trade we're going to make to kick off today's video. Joe Ingles and PJ Dozier are going over to Dallas for Maxi Kleber and AJ Lawson. Now, we're doing this deal for a couple reasons. First and foremost, Kleber is going to be a nice little upgrade at our backup power forward spot. Obviously, a veteran player that can space the floor a little bit. And more importantly, both of these players are on multiple-year contracts, meaning guys like Joe Ingles, PJ Dozier will both be unrestricted free agents this offseason, while Kleber and Lawson could potentially be trade pieces. So I know it's kind of funny to see two Western Conference contenders trading with each other, and of course, here in a non-realistic rebuild, that is pretty much the only reason that it is happening. So I think that's actually going to be our last trade. I moved around some positions. Nickeil Alexander-Walker, now listed as a small forward. He jumped up 2 overalls. He'll be the backup behind McDaniels. Going to be Randle and Kleber, and then obviously Gobert, and then Naz Reid. So I am excited for this team. Let's set that rotation. I'm really liking the way things are kind of shaking out here with this team. There is a really solid and definitive top 8 with this group, and none of it is what I actually added to this team. This is already with Minnesota, so let's talk about it a little bit. Starting 5, no surprises. It's Mike Conley, Anthony Edwards, Jaden McDaniel, Julius Randle, and Rudy Gobert. Obviously, this team was kind of built off of a defensive identity, and I think that identity kind of remains true even with the trade of Karl-Anthony Towns for Julius Randle. So very excited to see how this team kind of shakes out here for year one. Bench unit, of course, will be led by Naz Reid, the reigning 6th man of the year. Brought in Donte DiVincenzo and then Nickeil Alexander-Walker. So that is like the top 8. That is probably going to be the majority of the minutes in the playoffs, and it's up there with some of the best of the best. Let me just tell you that. And then, of course, Rob Dillingham here, and then we traded for Maxi Kleber. So, you know, I think we're in a position right now where there's a lot of room for development for a lot of these guys, but there's also an established core here that can really be dangerous heading into year one. So I'm excited. I think this team can make a lot of noise. We obviously know 2K loves Anthony Edwards and the Minnesota Timberwolves. So championship year one, we will find out together. I'll see you guys at the end of the first season. Year one comes to a close. It sees us finish with a record of 64-18, and we are certainly in play to be hosting the Larry O'Brien Trophy this year. Let's get into it. Luka Donte, he's your MVP. You guys watch my videos, anybody else's videos, you know, oh, Anthony Edwards and Chris Finch. You know these awards are pretty much always the same here in year one. Okay, let's talk about the standings. We are 3 games up on the Dallas Mavericks, so they are certainly very much still in contention after winning the West last year. Here is a look at the Eastern Conference. Let's go over some numbers real quick. Anthony Edwards, you saw him win Clutch Player of the Year, but 30 points a game at 23 years old is insane. Julius Randle was fantastic for us. 22.5 points a game, 9 rebounds, 4.5 assists. He's 50% from the field. He was about 33% from 3, but I will take that considering, you know, big trade, all that shit, high expectation. You get it. Naz Reid as a 6th man was actually our 3rd leading scorer. Mike Conley, Donte DiVincenzo, Rudy Gobert, Rob Dillingham, Jaden McDaniels, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, Maxi Kleber. Rebounds, we were led by Gobert, and assists is going to be Mr. Mike Conley. So, round 1 of the playoffs, it is us in the New Orleans Pelicans. This is a team that made, I don't want to say an under-the-radar kind of big swing this offseason with DeJounte Murray, but I feel like a lot of people are kind of forgetting that DeJounte Murray is now a Pelican. Now, something that they are going to be figuring out is who the hell is starting at center for them, because all due respect to Celtics legend Daniel Tice, I don't think he should be the guy that is doing it. But obviously, this is a really good team here in New Orleans, and definitely not the easiest first-round matchup I've ever had. Quick 2-0 lead for us. Never mind, make it 3-0. They do win 1 game. We win in 5. Now, we're moving on to the Sacramento Kings back in the playoffs here. They added Draymond Green. What? I'm not really sure how you did that, but okay. Obviously, big offseason addition with DeRozan as well. So, Draymond Green, let's see what happens. Hopefully, he doesn't stomp the shit out of Sabonis again. We sweep them, and now we are running back the West Finals from a year ago. Of course, last time around did not go super well here for us in Minnesota, but we can work with this. This is an incredible team with, you know, top 3 player in the world in Luka Doncic, but I like our depth a little better. I'm not going to lie to you. So we split the first 2 on our home floor, lose game 3 on the road, tie it up at 2-2, go up 3-2, go to game 7, lose game 7. God damn it. Okay. Luka Doncic is your Western Conference Finals MVP. Jalen Brunson. I did a Knicks rebuild yesterday. Guess who could not get to the NBA Finals? That would this guy right here. So if New York wins right now, I'm going to be really upset. Okay, they do not. Luka and the Dallas Mavericks get it done. A 37.5 point triple-double. That is insane. Literally insane. Okay, it is time for offseason number 1. Mike Conley is calling it a career. Fuck, that kind of sucks. Okay, so there's a couple ways we can go about this. I could let him retire. I'm not going to be... This is not a realistic rebuild, but overriding a guy's retirement just to trade him feels like it's kind of extra, like, scumbaggish. So if he did not retire, I was probably going to trade him, but I'm not going to, override it and then just do it. That feels a little too cheesy. So we'll let Mike Conley ride off into the sunset. I know how well Rob Dillingham progresses in this game anyways. Let's sim through the draft lottery. I don't think we're going to have anything in the lottery, so it is the Nets, Jazz, Rockets. Wow, there's always one surprise. Raptors, and then Trailblazers. Chris Finch is the head coach of this team. He just won a Coach of the Year, so he'll be staying on as our head guy. And as we approach the 2025 NBA draft, we have basically no first-round picks. So we do have the 4th overall pick in round 2. I'll actually use it because, why the hell not at this point? Let's just see who's sitting here. Cannon Catchings? Cannon? I don't know. Thinking about, a backup position, I think power forward is certainly one that jumps out to me. Maxi Kleber, obviously, probably not a long-term, a 3-year option, if you will. So either Catchings or Stevenson, probably going to be my guy. Just from a prospect ranking perspective, Stevenson's a little bit higher. So sure, Jaren Stevenson. What the hell is that? Wait a minute. What? I don't know. This game is confusing. All right, he's going to be a 71 overall. Not bad value for the second round. Now, Randall going to decline his player option. That's expected. Gobert picks his up. Also expected. Naz Reid. And then Garza and Minot, I'm actually going to pick them up because they could be trade pieces. So, some big free agents. That kind of goes without being said. I got to make sure I pay Julius Randle. He was a really, really impactful player for us. Our 6th man, Naz Reid, and then also Nickeil Alexander-Walker. I'd like to retain him. So, we get everybody back that we were, seriously, in need of, if you will. And I think it is now time for a trade. Oh my God. Blockbuster trade has been pulled off. Oh, baby. All right, let's take a look at it. It was obviously a big one. It was Rudy Gobert, Terrence Shannon Jr., AJ Lawson, Luka Garza, Leonard Miller, and one of the 2 first-round picks we have available. We landed ourselves Jamal Murray. Fully aware of what I just said, knowing damn well that Terrence Shannon Jr., that Rob Dillingham is certainly going to progress very well and play very, very good because... Very, very good. Because he always does. It's just the name of the game. But when we're in, a potential championship season, I would like to maybe max out on that potential. And obviously, Jamal Murray is a very, very nice upgrade here at the point guard spot. So Rob Dillingham will still be coming off the bench, hopefully progressing quite nicely. But guy who's already won a championship as a starting point guard, and Jamal Murray is welcome to the team. Now, moving on from Rudy Gobert was not an easy decision. I understand his impact in real life. It's not always felt here in 2K. It was really a decision because not only is he an expiring contract, but he's also a player that regresses a lot. And on top of the fact that I think Naz Reid does deserve a chance to start, especially after we paid him. So, Naz Reid going to be my starting center. We're going to look for potentially a Maxi Kleber trade, maybe find ourselves a new backup center, but I'm super excited. I really am. Of course, it hurts losing that, caliber of defensive player, but I think we're in a pretty good spot still. If I cannot find a center, I will likely just take the draft picks. Thank you very much, Charlotte. Okay, let's see what center options are available. They're not, anything great here. So, Lukey Cornett, my goat. Let's bring you on in. All right, I'll see you guys at the start of year 2. I always question this game, but why Jamal Murray continues to regress is so beyond me. He was an 88 overall. He's now down to an 85. 2K can literally stick it so far up their fucking ass that the sun doesn't shine. Why would Jamal Murray regress at the ripe old age of 28 coming off a season like that? Explain that to me. Logically. Somebody, please. I am begging for answers because this game is so fucking dumb. Murray, Edwards, McDaniels, Randall, and Naz Reid. Of course, it is a little bit of a change, maybe a little bit of a shock to the system, if you will. No longer having Rudy Gobert here, but ultimately in 2K, he's not nearly as impactful. Now, the bench unit will now be led by Donte DiVincenzo, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, Rob Dillingham progressing quite nicely, Luke Cornett, and then Jaren Stevenson, who we did draft in the second round. So, yeah, that's the team. I still love this team a lot. I actually think we may even be better than we were last season, but time will tell. I'll see you all at the end of year 2. Victor Wembanyama taking home the MVP award here at the end of the second season, a season that sees us finish with a record of 67-15. Obviously very happy about that, but we are not happy with regular seasons here. We win championships around here. Cooper Flagg is a Brooklyn Net. He's your Rookie of the Year. Josh Hart, now Sixth Man of the Year in New York. Wemby wins another DPOY. Alex Sarr, Most Improved. SGA, Clutch Player of the Year. And it is another Coach of the Year for Mr. Chris Finch. So last year, got really close. We had a really, really good season, but this year we are even better. We are clearly the best team in the NBA, at least according to record, and it's time for a championship. As scoring spreads out a little bit, that's as expected, of course, adding Jamal Murray, going with a more offensive-focused center in Naz Reid. That's, that makes sense to me. So not really super disappointed with anything I'm seeing as of now. Here goes nothing in the first round. It is us and the Portland Trailblazers. All due respect, I think this is probably a sweep. Thank you. Now, we're moving on to the Sacramento Kings once again. Of course, beat them last year. Oh, wait, no, they still do have Draymond. He's coming off the bench. Yeah, that was a weird addition for them. Okay. Here goes nothing. Split the first 2 on our home floor, lose game 3, tie it up at 2-2, go up 3-2, win the series in 6. Now, here is the biggest challenge of the video so far. We lost to these guys last year. They went on to win the finals. I would like to win and not be too stressed out about it. Good start. 2-0 lead, 3-0 lead. Okay, do not do this. Thank you. Julius Randle, Conference Finals MVP, Halliburton Eastern Conference. I'm just curious, like, how bad were the numbers for Ant to not really? I feel like that probably should have been. Whatever, who cares? Okay, us and the Indiana Pacers. Halliburton, Nembhard, Mathurin, Siakam, Turney, got Obi Toppin, Christian Brown now here as well, Jarris Walker, James Wiseman. A lot of really good depth there in Indiana. So, quick 2-0 lead for us. They win game 3. We win game 4. And as we head back to Minnesota for what could be a closeout game, I'd like to win a championship. So can we just hold on to this one, please? I'd like to win. So just thank you. Come on. Come on. Thank you. We're good. We're good. We're good. I'll see you in there. We are going to be winning a championship here unless, we fall off a cliff or something like that. We're obviously in a pretty good spot right now. I am very happy with the way this one has gone so far. Halliburton pulling up from 3. No, thank you. Big rebound for Jamal. We're in a position right now where, obviously we are hoping to go back-to-back. Anthony Edwards. Why? Tried to get a dunk animation, but nope, this game just hates me today. We're in a position right now, where there's a lot of different possibilities. And speaking of this team in real life right now, I think that this gives them a little bit more depth. Not that Minnesota didn't have good depth before, because they do. I genuinely believe that there's some talent here that would certainly be a little bit better than they were last year. But I think the addition of Randle especially, and I don't think a lot of people really understand, maybe I'll be wrong on this, and I always have been in the past. I think Donte DiVincenzo is going to be a really big impact player for this team. Now, he's not going to be a 6-man because that's obviously Naz Reid, but I just think that they're in a position where having a guy like Donte DiVincenzo who does a lot of things well, especially for a guard, he's a really good rebounder, and obviously shoot the ball. I just think Donte would have been a really nice piece for New York to keep. But, of course, they did not want to go with Towns. Who knows how long, Julius Randle will last in Minnesota. We know the owner of the Timberwolves isn't necessarily known for spending the big bucks. So maybe this is a one-and-done situation for Randle. But I'm excited to see this team this season. So I hope everybody can stay healthy because I really do think Minnesota is, top 3 at worst team in the Western Conference. So very excited for it. We're going to go ahead and end this one right here. And I will see you guys with the Finals MVP. We end up beating the Indiana Pacers in 5 games. Anthony Edwards does get the Finals MVP award. Of course, we just won, so LeBron calling it a career. There will not be many major changes heading into year 3, maybe 1 or 2 small ones off the bench or something like that. But let's go through the draft lottery, sim through this real quick. There is the Grizzlies, wow. Grizzlies, Sixers, and Lakers. And Thunder's not their own pick, but I'm surprised any of those teams are bad enough to be up high in the lottery. We will hang on to Chris Finch. Let's approach the 2026 NBA draft. And do we have anything here? We do. We actually have our own first-round pick. All right, I'll draft somebody. Who knows? Maybe they'll play. Maybe they won't. Is what it is. Josiah Mosley, power forward. He's actually the only C-rated player, according to our scouting department, so sure. Not sure, again, if he'll maybe play, be a trade piece, whatever. Welcome to the team. He is a 71 overall. All right, Dillingham, Stevenson, both going to be brought back. We look at qualifying. We have none. We look at free agency. And yeah, I was going to say, I don't really think we have anybody here. So Luka Doncic sitting here in free agency. Dallas obviously willing to pay him. Interesting. All right, so there's a lot of good free agency. Of course, we're not really, in a spending situation right now. We don't really have the funds for that. I do think we have 1 or 2 trades, though. We're going to look to make a small upgrade at our backup center spot. As of now, Noah Clowney is only a singular overall higher than Luke Cornett, but by the time next season rolls around, maybe it's 2 or 3. We obviously just drafted Josiah Mosley as well. He's not really going to play, so let's just maybe make a deal here with the Nets as we approach the 3rd and final season. So, yeah, I'm going to let Stevenson still rock the backup power forward spot. Doesn't really matter too much. We won with them once, we'll win with them again. I'll see you guys at the start of the 3rd and final season. Fresh off winning it all last season, we are ready to go for the 3rd and final year here in Minnesota. Starting 5 remains exactly the same with Jamal Murray, Anthony Edwards, Jaden McDaniels, Julius Randle, and Naz Reid. Bench unit, Rob Dillingham now taking over 6-man responsibilities. Got DiVincenzo behind him, Nickeil Alexander-Walker. We brought in Noah Clowney, Darren Stevenson rounding out the 10-man. So, yeah, we're good, just as we were last year. See you guys at the end of the final regular season. When I said 2K loves the Minnesota Timberwolves, I was not lying. Not only does Anthony Edwards win the MVP here at the end of year 3, we also go 76-6. Yep, no, you heard me right. 76-6. 3 games better than the best record of all time. Not really sure. AJ DiVincenzo, your Rookie of the Year. Cam Thomas, 6th man. Wemby, another DPOY. Ace Bailey, Most Improved. Nikola Jokic. And yeah, they're going to give the guy who won 76 out of 82 games Coach of the Year. So yeah, I'd like to assume that, Larry O'Brien trophy, potentially 2 years in a row, is certainly within play because we are clearly best team in the league here. All right, let's go over some numbers real quick. Ant, Murray, Randle, Dillingham, Reed. I mean, yeah, you guys can see. Rebounds per game, Randle, and assists was Jamal Murray. So I don't really think it matters who we're facing, quite honestly. I think we're just better than everybody, to be frank with you. Up 3-0. There we go. Moving on to Houston here. They've established a really nice young core here. This is a team that is certainly going to be a little bit of a challenge. I don't think it's going to be too much of a challenge, but I think they're beatable. I definitely do. Up 3-1, and that is a gentleman's sweep. Now, here in the West Finals, it is us against Wembanyama. Ooh, they had a J-Dub as well. I like that pickup quite a bit, but I'd like to just beat them and not really worry about it. Can we do that? Can we make that happen? Up 2-1. They tie it. Okay, hang on a second. Okay. We are now on to the NBA Finals for the second straight year. We are taking on the Charlotte Hornets this time. LaMelo Ball, Drake Powell, Brandon Miller, Miles Bridges, Wendell Carter Jr. There's just not a chance in hell. All right, thanks for coming. Anthony Edwards, second straight Finals MVP, and this one was a little bit more successful than my Knicks rebuild the other day. So, yeah, I mean, I gave you a lot of my thoughts on this deal. I'm excited to see this one play out for both sides. Again, just from what I'm seeing and kind of what, makes sense in my head, it felt like more of a financial implication kind of deal, just from like a tax perspective for how expensive the Wolves roster is getting versus like pure talent. Like it feels that way to me anyways. So I'll keep an eye on it. Of course, Karl-Anthony Towns is now a New York Knicks. Julius Randle, Donte DiVincenzo, now Minnesota Timberwolves. So only the NBA, man. It's just, you'll be sitting doing nothing on a Friday night just like I was, and your phone starts blowing up with massive blockbuster trade. So this one was fun. It is a good one. So excited for basketball to be back. Of course, we are slowly but surely getting there, and I hope you guys all are as well. So that is it for me. As always, thanks so much for watching. I love you guys. I'll catch you guys all on the next one.